Another one of those shows where
is recorded in front of a live virtual audience on the Duck Pond. Tuesday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern, live. Mallard.com. MALLIARD.com. One more thing before we start. Let me turn it over to my friend that you may know from Ancient Aliens and The Curse of Oak Island and many other things, Robert Clotworthy.
On the Mallard Report, the views, thoughts, and opinions expressed on the show are solely those of the hosts and guests, and not necessarily of Evergreen Podcasts, KillerPodcast.com, sponsor or affiliate, or any other individual or group. On the Mallard Report, the views, thoughts, and opinions expressed in the show are solely those of the hosts and guests, and not necessarily of Evergreen Podcasts, KillerPodcast.com, sponsor or affiliate, or any other individual or group.
oh boy, it's been a while, but we got to. Well, good evening first and foremost, everybody, or good night, or good morning. No, I don't know. After 12 or 13 years, you'd think I'd have that figured out by now, but I don't. My guest tonight is Kevin Harold, returner for quite a while here, of Showgun Media. Showgun Media, is that I have that right?
Yes, you got it.
Earlier I kind of just practiced right on that up. And I said Shotgun Media, so I'm glad I got that. So Kevin, how you been?
Good, my friend. Good to hear your voice. Thanks for having me back on. It's been a minute.
It has been. So first question, very important. Are you still upset that the Chargers left San Diego?
Yeah. Okay, so first things first. Yeah, I was born and raised in San Diego, and I've been a lifelong Charger fan. So when the Chargers left San Diego, it was painful. But I did not leave the team. You know, it's a bit here in San Diego, it's still a bitter thing. I'm telling you, when I walk around in my jersey, every day people hit me up and say, I can't believe you still follow them, this, that, and the other. So I've stayed a fan, and they've stayed consistent. They still break my heart. So, what can I say?
Well, I understand that because the Ravens were the Browns, and then you go to Cleveland, and so your team left town and then won a Super Bowl. You must be excited,
right?
That's a good way to make friends.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, aren't you a Steelers fan?
I haven't watched the game in quite a while, but yeah, I'm guilty as charged. It's still Heinz Field, so
They're not doing too bad. They're in it.
I heard Kenny Pickett got hurt, so they're probably going to. I think they called me and seen if I wanted to start, so I don't know. We'll have to see if I can dust it off.
Oh, I would pay for that. I would pay to see that.
Kurt Warner Part 2.0, right?
Right.
So let's start with your Showgun Media. I don't think we've talked about that on here. I know we've talked about it between us, but what kind of things are you doing? Give me a little bit of a sell because I know there's probably somebody out there thinking about this tonight too. So
yeah. So Showgun Media is the name of my production company, and I started my own production company back in it's about 2016 now. I worked for another production company, and then I worked for other production companies before that, but I started my own back in 2016 and kind of made a bet on myself. And that was pretty much because, like as a creative, like if you're a filmmaker or a creative, it's really hard to have creative partners because you see things differently. And it's not that anybody's right or wrong. Sometimes you just can't get going in the same direction. So anyway, I wanted to bet on myself and I wanted to create my own production company. So I did. And so basically, when I first started out, which is kind of where you and I actually met before that, but
yeah.
Essentially, my company, we create visual content for major corporate brands. So, and that's kind of a big area, but basically everything from, television commercials to, content that you would see on YouTube, showcasing a brand's particular product or service. I even do some really high-end training videos that stay in-house with some of these companies. I have a financial institution that we did some pretty incredible video for bank robbery scenarios and active shooter and workplace violence scenarios where we actually take a lot of Hollywood style production and put the viewer in a very real situation. It's not your dad's old training videos. Remember those old boring training videos where you wanted to, you know what I mean? Where you wanted to like jump off a bridge, like really, you're not going to make me watch this for 15 minutes. But no, they're really like high-end type training videos. So, that's kind of my bread and butter. That's kind of what I do Monday through every day. Creating those videos. And then every once in a while I get some really cool projects where I'm working with a very well-known aviation podcast, and sometimes I get to go do videos for bands, like music videos and things like that. But that's not really my bread and butter. My bread and butter is on the commercial side. So that's the long and short of my company. That's kind of what I do.
Yeah, but you do pretty good at making those music videos.
Yeah, thank you. No, I appreciate that. No, those are actually a lot of fun for me. Like if I could do that all the time, I would love it. It's a lot of fun, very creative, and it's a fun world to be in. So I would love to do more of that. I just don't get the opportunity to do it.
Well, we're putting that out into the universe tonight, so guess what? It might happen.
Yeah, if you know somebody who knows somebody, give me a call.
You mentioned the YouTube with the airplanes. I've watched a few of their videos. That's not doing any of that justice. Give us a little bit more about that, because it's pretty phenomenal.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, so I partnered up with a gentleman by the name of Vincent Aiello, and his call sign is Jello, Jello, and he is a retired Navy fighter pilot. He flew F-18s in the Navy as well as F-16s, and he was also a graduate of the famous Top Gun fighter weapons school, and he was also a instructor at Top Gun. And so when he retired, he started a podcast called the Fighter Pilot Podcast. And it started off as a traditional podcast, audio only. And over the years, it grew in popularity. In fact, I think it still is the #1 rated podcast worldwide for military aviation. So I hooked up with him, and he wanted to do a video podcast. He wanted to take it from audio only to video. So I worked closely with him to start the video podcast version of his show. And we did that, oh gosh, I don't know, maybe starting about a year and a half ago. And we film it here locally in San Diego, about maybe 25, 30 minutes away from Miramar Naval Air, or what used to be Miramar Naval Air Station, famed Top Gun Naval Air Station. But yeah, so I've been doing that with him for, I don't know, better part of a year. And it's a really great show. And I've had the opportunity to meet some incredible aviators. I mean, these people are amazing. I've always been a fan of aviation my whole life, especially military aviation. And to be in their presence and meet these folks and listen to their stories is just, oh my gosh, it's so cool. So yeah, I do the video. I shoot the video for him in the studio. I do some of the editing. There's some other folks that do editing, but we help them out with that show. So that's the Fighter Pilot Podcast. And if you look it up on YouTube, just put in the Fighter Pilot Podcast and it'll come up.
And Showgun is at what? Showgunmedia.com?
Yeah, it's Showgun Media USA.com, and Showgun is spelled a little different. So it's SHOWGUN Media USA.com.
I had it almost right. Okay, question for Kevin here. Let's from the legendary Germantown Runner. What is the market like for online video training? Do you use artificial intelligence to help you with your content?
Oh, wow, David, you just opened a can of worms. Holy smokes.
It was almost
Hey,
it was almost like he was listening before we started.
Hey, can you start with some like softball questions? Holy smokes. Um, okay, so unless you've been living under a rock somewhere, artificial intelligence is kind of taking over everything. And in my world, it is a major big deal. If you all have paid attention, there was a big strike in Hollywood with the Writers Guild and then also with the Screen Actors Guild. And both of those, in one way or another, but mostly on the Screen Actors Guild side, there was a lot of artificial intelligence in the mix there. Artificial intelligence is right now, as we speak, getting ready to put people in my business out of work. And specifically, who I mean by that is people who do voiceovers, people who do acting like a background actor. You watch a scene from a movie or a TV show. You have your principal actors that are on camera, and then you see these people walking around in the background. They're actually getting ready to replace those people with artificial intelligence. Writers, a lot of folks are dealing with that. So I do use artificial intelligence in my business now, but it's mostly artificial intelligence that's contained already within my editing software. So, for instance, I shoot a scene, I take that footage and I bring it back into my editing computer, and then I put the whole project together. Okay. So there's a lot of processes inside of editing that AI now is helping to do for me that I used to have to go through all these steps, to do, and now it's just doing it for me. Photography is another one. You can take a photograph now, and AI can actually manipulate that photo for you and just save you hours of work in one click of a button. So, in a way, it's making our lives easier, but in another way, it's actually going to put people in our business potentially very much out of work. So, without going too far down the rabbit hole, yes, I use AI, and AI is a really big deal in my world right now, as it is in a lot of worlds. Yeah.
I seen a video on the old TikTok the other day of a guy who wanted the photo was off center, because people take pictures sometimes. He wanted them in the center, so he
Yeah,
got on the Photoshop and made the base image bigger, and then clicked around the big square that was empty and said AI generative fill, and it looked like looked like it should have been a real picture.
that's right.
I'm just sitting there going, man.
Well, as a for instance, I have this, and if y'all want to look it up, if you want to geek out on it, but one of the cameras that I use is made by a company called DJI, and it's called the DJI Ronin 4D, and it's a cinema camera that has this gimbal built into it. It's a really neat camera. But anyway, it actually it's kind of like cheating. It makes me look like I know more than I do because like it will auto track my subject. So whoever I have on camera, I can click their face and it will lock onto them. It'll auto focus no matter what. It'll track them while I'm moving. And that's all in a sense kind of in that AI world. You have these computers now that are doing a lot of that work for you, where 20 years ago or 15 years ago, or gosh, maybe 15 years ago, you have a camera operator and they're constantly physically manipulating, focus, and constantly manipulating the ISO and these other settings, where now the cameras are doing it for you automatically. So in a way, it really makes us better at what we do. But hopefully we don't get to a world where I'm not needed.
Like I told you earlier, I think you're always, well, at least in your lifetime, you should be fine.
Yeah, well, I'm 104, so
You
I'm good
remember
to
taking video on the stone tablets, right?
go. Correct. Correct.
Oh, I'll give you a hard time because I can. Oh, buckle up because Germantown Runner's back. Elon Musk continues to ring the alarm bell regarding AI and its possible sinister intentions stemming from this tech. What do you think?
Well, another softball question.
Yeah.
Okay, so aside from doing the video thing, I'm really well connected to the military world. And so I'm going to kind of use that as an example. Um, you know, can AI be used for sinister purposes? Absolutely 100%. It's being done now, like right now, right now.
Yeah.
The bots and like, remember Jim back in the day when Twitter first came out and these other platforms, how you and I were like really trying to build a following and trying to build up our platform and interacting with people. Well, now a lot of the people or the folks that you're interacting with aren't even real, right? And so in terms of misinformation, disinformation, and populating your feeds and manipulating your thoughts and what you see and how you get it, AI is already doing that. So it's a really, really big deal. And if there's some geo strategists that if you study them like I do and you talk to them, like if you want to geek out, look up Ian Bremmer as an example. Um, like some of the best things we can do is get off social media now, because nothing we're seeing or hearing anymore seems to be accurate or real. And I think misinformation and disinformation is the biggest threat we face right now with AI. Um, in the military sphere, they're battling with that right now because how much autonomy do you really give something that can kill someone, right? So there's always got to be a human in the loop. But when you're trying to process information in a combat scenario to target something, or there's all this stuff going on, AI is processing all of that for somebody and then giving them that information so that they can make better, smarter, faster decisions. So in that way, I guess it's better, but anything can always be used for bad, right, Jim? I mean,
Yeah.
anything can be used for bad. So yes, 100% it can be used for bad purposes. And I think it already is being used that way.
Everything can be used for bad purposes. Actually, Kevin, I was thinking about this when I asked you about your Chargers, and then we kind of went deep really hard.
And I think AI, just so you know, I think AI is responsible for the Chargers losing. I know that's conspiracy theory, but no, I'm kidding.
No, there are people out there that think all the NFL games are staged. So, I mean, like, because it's entertainment and it's all staged. So,
who knows?
So that's how they make some money, because they bet on the win outcome. And, hey, you were just saying anything could be bad, right? Well, no, I was thinking because I had to flip one of the football games on because I was at a place that had a TV that had cable, because there you go.
Yeah.
And I seen they had the little circle on the one defender they thought was going to blitz, and I'm like, no way. And sure enough, there he went.
Yeah, and if you've ever listened to Tony Romo when he does the commentary, it's like that guy's AI. Like he calls the things out before they even happen. Like how can anybody be that good? I don't know.
Well, he's just that smart. He's got it in his head.
I mean, apparently.
Which, hey, I'll be the first to admit I didn't think he was that great as a quarterback, but he's great in the booth.
He is fantastic. Yeah, I like him a lot.
So I like the more, how do I say this, more modern players when they get out of the game. I think after a certain while that it just kind of declines. Like they've been removed so far.
Yeah.
You take like Terry Bradshaw on his leather helmets, and I can say that.
Well, hey, back in the day, I do have to say I think the football players were tougher.
Well, you can say tougher, I can say stupid, and we both be right.
That's a good point.
I don't know if the game's any better now. Either way, I mean, there's nothing better than watching Ed Reed or Troy Polamalu lay somebody out that came across the middle.
Yeah, Troy Polamalu is one of my favorites. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think the game today is just a little too overregulated, and there's some things about the old school days of football that I miss, like Palomalu and actually being able to pick up a quarterback over your head and slam him on the ground. I mean, that's kind of cool to me, you know? So I don't know. It's different, you know, but I still love it. I still love football.
Unfortunately, it is got a call from New York, and you've been flagged for roughing the passer.
Right.
So,
Right.
oh, here comes Germantown runner back. But this is a much easier question for you.
Oh gosh. Okay.
Hockey team: L.A. Kings or Anaheim Ducks?
That is a much easier question for me because I don't follow soccer at all.
Oh, hockey.
I mean hockey. Yeah, that's what I meant. I don't follow soccer either. Soccer and hockey. Yeah, I don't follow it. Or basketball.
Why not? I mean, it's not like you have
Well,
booze of free time, Kevin. Why don't you follow these things?
oh gosh, no, I don't. No, I don't have that much free time. But yeah, no, I grew up a football guy. Just that literally is the only sport I watch, and then baseball on occasion, and it's usually the last game or two of the World Series because like I grew up, like with football, it's sudden death, right?
Right. Yeah.
One and done. You don't win, you're out. So I kind of feel like you got to be your best on that day. So these sports where you have these like multiple game series where it determines the winner drive me bananas. Number one, and then yeah, the other sports just don't. I guess if we're being honest, I don't think they're violent enough for me. But except hockey. I guess hockey falls into that category.
It's way down too.
Is it?
Yep.
What I do like about hockey is okay, I don't know if you follow hockey, but isn't there's a rule like where they can like fully duke it out and that's legal, right?
Yep. They can.
See, if we could infuse that into football,
we could.
I think that would make it far more entertaining to me.
Well, when you grew up in San Diego, there wasn't ice within 1,000 miles of there. Okay, that might be a little far. How far is San Diego from Canada?
From where?
I need to know that. How far is San Diego to Canada?
I mean, if we're just going straight north.
Yeah.
I don't know, but you know what? I bet you Google can tell me.
Oh, but probably we could just wait for Germantown Runner to tell us because he's already on the Google looking this up.
San Diego to Canada?
What should be like 900 miles? I'd be right.
Well, okay, so we'll go Vancouver.
Yeah, that's right there in the border.
We'll call that Vancouver. Okay, so it's hold on, it's loading. 22 hours.
Oof.
So 1,400 miles north.
Oh, well, see, as Price is right then. I was under.
And here's what's crazy is if you just look at it on a map, like over half of that, maybe over half of that is all in California.
Yeah,
like California is a very long, tall state. So
just like Pennsylvania is very wide and like because I tell people I'm from Pennsylvania, they're like, oh, well, Philadelphia. I'm like, no, that's 7.5 hours away.
And speaking of Canada, I've never been to Canada ever. And the closest I've come was when I was on tour with Elvis Monroe and Three Doors Down. We went to Buffalo, New York, there where Niagara Falls is, and I got to look across to what is that? Toronto?
Well, that's Niagara, Canada, or whatever. Toronto's up further.
It's Toronto, right? It's like if you look directly across, there's like lake. Huh?
Toronto's not that close.
From Niagara Falls, I think you can see it.
Somebody will fact check.
I don't know. You can see something anyway. But yeah,
Canada.
I've never been to Canada. It's too cold.
Oh, you think it's cold? You were there. When were you there?
I was there in February.
Oh, that's pretty cold.
Oh yeah, it was cold. Trust me, it was cold.
You've got that thin blood too.
Oh yeah. No, I'm from San Diego. You know, anything under 40 degrees is like hypothermic to me.
Well, good luck. No. We got a new question coming in from Geo Observation, who's a great member of the pond now. He wants to know how much of modern AI was used to reverse engineer stuff at Area 51.
My personal opinion is AI is from Area 51. No, I'm kidding. I have no idea.
Well, that's been the hot myth, right? They took the stuff there and they learned all this stuff and trickled it out so we could have smartphones and all this other stuff.
Yeah. Gosh, I don't know. I mean, what's kind of crazy to me though, if you think about it, I don't know how much you've looked this up or not, but when we're talking about semiconductors and smart chips and all this stuff, and I looked it up and I did a little bit of research just because I was interested in it, and literally these chips are so small that you have to look through what do you call it, the
telescope, no,
like a microscope.
Microscope, yeah,
Right, like a microscope, and you have to get down, and it's getting so small, and the computing power, what those can do, I mean, it's insane. It really is insane. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure a lot is going on at Area 51, and a lot of technology has been born really out of there, and honestly, a lot of the technology we're seeing today, I don't know if you agree or not, Jim, but I mean, it really has a nexus from our military and our government. I don't think, because like we're the consumer, I don't think is going to get the best chip before it's ever been had by the military. Do you think?
No. Not
Right?
even now.
Yeah.
I think everything's at least been military grade before we get it.
Yeah. I mean, I have to think that. So, whatever we're seeing on the commercial side, I mean, I think you would have to go like what factor of 10 to that the military already has. I would think
somewhere in that neighborhood. I don't know if it's quite 10, but it's definitely up there.
It's a lot. Yeah.
And Geo pipes up another one. See, now he's involved here. He wants to know how much better Kubrick's moon landing. He's got big quotes around that. What a video would have been had he been able to use AI.
Oh my gosh. Could you imagine the moon landing, that whole event in 4K? Really? Like, amazing. Actually, what is really amazing is that, kind of in a way, this circles back to the last question of, if they were able to do this in that era and get those images back to us, right? I mean, it's pretty incredible when you think about it. I don't know what the actual numbers are, but the computing power that was used to launch and recover the space shuttle, like your cell phone has more computing power by I don't know how many factors than that whole thing had, right? So yeah, I mean, yeah, the moon landing today in ultra high definition in near real time. Oh my gosh, that would be amazing. Yeah.
I seen some pictures from Pluto, the artist formerly known as a planet.
Good one.
And they were just incredible. Like think about that long distance phone call.
I mean, it really does boggle the mind because you got to realize, like I have a high school education, right? And math is not like a strong suit for me. So like to me, it's like basically magic, that this stuff is even happening. So, I mean, yeah, it's absolutely bananas, what is happening in our world and what we're able to accomplish from a technology perspective. I mean, it's really kind of an exciting. Okay, so I'm gonna kind of date myself here a little bit. So I was born in 1970. So do the math. So, but anyway, so when I was a kid, obviously we still had rotary dial phones, right? Everything was hardwired. Cell phones didn't exist, right? And so I've literally in my lifetime, I've seen this technology progress, right? And it's actually a pretty exciting time to be alive right now. It really is, because the pace at which things are changing is mind-boggling, and it's making our world better. But I personally feel like I'm having a really hard time keeping up with it. Like, younger people today, they just grow up with it. It's normal to them, and they're just all about it all the time. Where it's like, basically, I go from a horse and buggy to like a Tesla in my lifetime, and it's like, okay, not a horse and buggy. Let's call it a Ford Pinto. I mean, it's close. I mean,
That's
it's
a 70s
close.
car. That's a 70s
I mean,
car.
think about it. So, I mean, to me, because of the business I work in and the entertainment industry, I have to keep up on technology. So I think I do a little better than most. But yeah, it's staggering. It really is staggering.
Yeah, I was gonna
Um,
say. Well, I'm just thinking back to like when the first digital cameras came out, right? And you took, what is it, 3.3 megapixel pictures, and now they're
mhm.
taking. What's your camera take, Kevin?
Well, my camera shoots 6K.
So that's a ginormous file.
Yeah, basically, okay, so when I download my files to my computer, it basically dims the lights in my city. I mean, it's literally ridiculous, and they have cameras right now that are shooting well in excess of that. The next generation of my camera is shooting 8K, and they've got cameras shooting well beyond that. Um, and what's funny is, it wasn't really until very recently that a lot of content providers actually switched to 4K, right?
Yeah, I'm sitting here thinking, Kevin, where is it just getting to the point where we're never going to see the difference?
I think, hmm, to me, the holy grail. Okay, this is the hardest in me. Okay,
Right.
there are just certain things I don't need to see in high definition.
Well,
Okay,
that's,
right? I don't need to see
well, the
every.
listeners to this show agree with you because they get to watch me on YouTube once in a while.
Well, here's the thing. Okay, I'm gonna frame it this way. So I don't need to see every single pore in your face. I don't need to see every single hair. I don't need to see things in that much clarity. But I do want to see it in that much clarity if I'm watching National Geographic, if I'm seeing a natural world where you can see every strand of every feather on a bird and you see the world in that kind of clarity, that makes sense to me, right? But
Yeah.
if you're watching a movie, here's what's hilarious, and most people won't even catch this, but when you watch a movie today, they actually add noise into the image to make it less sharp and give it more of a movie quality look. Say movie quality, meaning there's noise in it. It's not so sharp. It's just a little bit, what's the word I'm looking for? It's just not as clear. It's that old film look, meaning old film look like, from 20 years ago or something. It's so clear now that my point is, it's so clear that they're actually introducing noise and other effects to it to soften it up. Where the other end of the spectrum is, it's so clear that it looks like you're looking through a pane of glass at the real world. And so I think that's kind of where this thing is going, that when you turn on your television set, your smart panel or whatever's on the wall, that literally looks like a window. Like, it's just so clear that it looks like you're looking into the world. And I think there's something to be said for that. But I don't want to see everything that way. I do want certain things to have a film quality or a certain quality to them that is nostalgic for me. But that's just the artist in me.
Well, I'm sitting here thinking, Kevin, um, I watched a lot of those westerns with John Wayne and all the, that cast of characters, and those B-roll shots, the mountains and all that stuff. They just popped off so vibrantly if you're back in the day. It makes my mind hurt. I know you do drones as well, and I've seen, it's all beautiful, right? But man, that whatever they did back in the day just hit different.
That's that's exactly what I'm talking about. And they were shooting on film back then, and there was an art form to. Okay, so to those that may not know, the person in the film world who operates the camera on a film set is called the director of photography, right? And the director of photography, his job was to pick, the right camera, the right lens, the right exposure, to really frame a shot and make it look a certain way. And then when you combine that with the film of the time, like say 35 millimeter film as an example, you could just get this luxurious look. And so, to your point, Jim, if you go back and you look at these great movies that will be with us forever, we are now trying to replicate that look because the digital age has ruined it because it's too clear, it's too nice. So now we have to add other artifacts to it to get back to where we were. So everything came sort of full circle. Kind of weird how that works, huh?
Yeah, and I'm sitting here thinking, we were just talking about AI touching things up. Well, that wasn't happening back then. What they shot is what you got, and
Yeah,
just for me to see the
here's
human
an
aspect of it.
yeah. So here's another aspect of it from a different perspective, right? So those of you that are music fans, which I am, I know you are too. But like if you listen to a recording of, like, let's say Elvis Presley or Led Zeppelin or the Beatles, right? There's a quality about it that is timeless. Like, you know what I mean? And so you listen to the digital music of today, and it is absolutely crystal clear and it's very clean. But like back in the day, they took a lot of time to set up a certain type of a room effect, and they had to actually be in a certain type of room with a certain type of microphone, right? And there was an art to making something sound the way it did, and nobody else could replicate it. It was their own recipe, right? And people tried for years to replicate and duplicate that because of the creativity behind it. Like, how did you get that sound? Well, today everything is so crystal clear that we've lost that, and now the trend is to try to replicate the old. So I don't want to beleaguer the point, but I
No,
think
it's
even
good.
as technology goes, I think there's something that we all love and we're trying to get back to it. So I think in a sense, the more technology grows, the more we're going to try to claw backwards and go, I kind of do kind of like what we used to have. There's a balance, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, German Toad Runner's back. He's actually got two questions, but we'll go with the easier one first.
Okay.
What paths in life led you to create your own content creation agency? What got you to this point?
That's a really good question. Um, when I was really young, um, I wanted to be, like every little boy back in the day, like you want to be a soldier, right? So everything was about that when I was growing up. And I thought I wanted to go into the military, and I thought I wanted to be a pilot, and I thought I wanted to do all the stuff. And then when I got into my teen years, this is in the 80s now, and it was a great time to be alive because music, all teenagers, I don't know what it is about, they just gravitate to music and entertainment. But, I really got interested in music and entertainment. And so I started playing in a band, and went down the road of music. And I was always fascinated by, television making. And so I got a chance to do some background acting. So there was a bunch, back in the day here in San Diego, we had a lot of TV shows and movies that were filmed here. It was a great time. And so I got an opportunity at a very young age to start doing some background acting. And acting is a, pretty broad term because you're not really acting, you're just walking around acting like an idiot. But the bottom line is, I
Wait,
got
you
to
still
be.
do that? Wait.
Well, yeah. So basically, they were paying me for doing what I do normally. Which, why wouldn't you love that job? So, but the cool thing is being on set and being behind the scenes and being part of a movie and TV production. I kind of got the bug for that, and I thought it was really cool. And of course, I didn't know how any of that worked, and so I just took an interest to it. So I worked really hard And I got to kind of move up the chain, get better acting jobs. Nothing ever, no lead roles or anything like that, but like sort of like known background parts where you're kind of seen often in the background kind of thing. And then I ended up getting some jobs on the crew. And that's where the bug really hit, was just seeing how all the just different parts work together. And then the end product is what you saw on the screen, but you got to see how it was made, just got my creative juices going. And so that's what sparked it. And then all these years, you're learning. You don't really know what you're doing, so you're always more comfortable working for someone, right? Because you're learning. But I finally got to the point where I was like, I know what I'm doing, and I know my mind and how I want to create. And so I wanted to start my own company so that I could have the freedom to do what I want to do without asking or convincing or telling other people what to do and fighting that battle. I wanted the freedom to do my own thing. Whether I succeeded or failed, at least I would do it, right?
Right.
And so that ultimately, that's where I started my own company, was I wanted to do my own thing.
And everybody, Kevin's being far too humble. He did have that starring role in Cops that one time.
No.
I had to, though. That's a show I missed too.
That's true. Hey, do you think that is the original reality show?
Yes,
Right?
without question.
I think that's the original reality show. And I loved that show. I mean, who doesn't love that show?
Yeah, because you never, like, you were always like, because some TV shows, any TV show really, sometimes you think about flipping, right? But if you're watching Cops, you're kind of vested. You want to know what's coming, right?
Well,
You never
first of
know what's
all, yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Like, for the vast majority of people in America, like, you never get to see that happen, right?
Yeah.
So for that half hour or hour, you get to see this nonsense that happens on the street, and you're like, nobody could be that stupid. And you're like, well, yeah, they actually could be that stupid, right? And the thing is you come away from that realizing like how good your life is. Like, yeah, life isn't so bad.
Or at least I can make some bad decisions, but I've never made that one.
Right. Yeah, it's just like, yeah, it was just an incredible show. And like I said, I mean, that started reality TV, in my opinion, because I can't think of anything, Jim, before that was like truly that way, reality. Yeah.
And the other thing we're missing now, dive off on a tangent before we get to this next question,
Mhm.
is I mean, I wasn't really a fan, but of course there was the moments that you had to watch: Jerry Springer, Maury Povich, Oprah, even Oprah, right? There's
Yeah.
all that daytime talk that I don't know. Maybe it's lost its specialness because it seems like everybody has a show now. Like I can't remember any other names because it doesn't matter. But it seems like there's
Yeah.
all during the day. It's all over the place, and it's just like
Kelly Clarkson, right?
yeah, that's what I was trying to think of. Yeah, like
Yeah.
I mean, I don't.
Drew Barrymore.
Yeah, see, like why?
I mean, it is, dude, to that point, they're still soap operas.
Well, I mean that kind of makes sense. I mean, there's still people of the age that would probably watch.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, some of that daytime TV stuff is still the same. Kind of cracks me up. Yeah. I mean, some things have stayed the same. I mean, the faces have changed, but yeah. I mean, I don't get into that stuff, but that's just me.
Yeah, well, I think the problem is this is another live sports is king, right? Anything else you can watch any other time. These daytime TV shows, anything else, right? You can get it on demand, you can get it on the streaming app, whatever, right? And you don't really risk knowing, I mean, besides there's a couple bigger shows you have to watch live, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because there is a ton of people, Xing about it That doesn't even sound right.
Right. Well, okay, so here's the thing. So to your point, okay, so if you have a show or a live event or any type of show, like social media ruins it for you. It's like spoiler alerts, right? Like
Yeah.
if you're watching if you haven't got to that episode yet, you could inadvertently see something and you're like, oh my gosh, I just totally missed it. Um, but yeah, I mean, I do like the fact that I don't know about you, but I like the fact that I can kind of watch things when I want to watch them because my life doesn't, conform to, when something airs. And
Yeah.
by the way, you want to know an interesting fact? You ready for this?
Oh, sure.
I watch almost no television.
Oh, I'm not surprised.
It drives my girlfriend bananas. Here's why. I know how everything's made. I cannot watch TV. I can't watch movies. I can't watch series. Because I see it so differently than everyone else, it drives her crazy. So yeah, I have a hard time even watching it.
I get it because there are times that, like right now, I've had to stop listening to all my the podcasts that I listen to because I get so frustrated because the guy isn't asking the damn questions, right? Like,
Uh-huh.
and it's just like I can't. So
Yeah.
I get it. Okay, so question. This comes from Germantown Run. Was your industry affected by the recent strikes of the writers and the actors out there in Hollywood?
My industry was not. I'm non-union.
Ooh, no.
I'm a rebel. I'm a rebel. Yeah, I don't deal with any union issues whatsoever. And that's a
Probably.
good thing.
I was gonna say that's probably easier. The next one from him is he wants you to talk about the ugly belly of the content creation industry in Southern California. And can you spill some ugly tea?
The ugly underbelly of the content industry.
In Southern California.
Um, ooh, I don't really know how to. I don't know how to approach that. So, like, okay, so what I do is not nearly in the fray. Like, if you're okay, so if you're talking about network type stuff like Netflix, Hulu, CBS, ABC, that place is just an utter disaster. Like that is just that could be a reality show in and of itself. I mean, that world is so full of crazy that I can't even begin to tell you. Like that is just a bananas world. What I do is not nearly that. It's not even in the same. It's almost not even in the same world in a way. We have our underbelly, I guess. Like. I'm really fortunate because I have a group of clients that I work with that I've been working with for years, and like like no kidding, we're friends. Like we've known each other so long that there's a personal relationship now between my clients and me. So I'm very fortunate. But yeah, there's some really crazy stuff that happens, but not really like if you're talking network level stuff, yeah, it can get pretty crazy. But I don't know exactly I don't know how to focus in on that question. But yeah,
So
there's crazy for
so we'll
sure.
double down with the follow up here. Is the legacy media, quote unquote, broadcast and cable dead?
I would say dying.
Slow and
I would say,
painfully.
yeah, I would say dying. And it's the same thing in a sense that happened to the music industry. Um, we used to have to go to a record store and buy a record, right? And then, so you had all these stores all over every town, record stores, right? Every shop, everybody had
You
tapes
do
and
realize
CDs,
records are making a comeback, right?
which is cool. Like, I think that that's super cool. But back to my point,
Yes, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
yeah, no problem, because I could have gone down a whole nother rabbit hole on that. But so we used to have to actually physically go buy the record, the record,
Yeah.
the medium, and play it, right? And so you had all these businesses that were catering to that, and then along came what was that first one? The I, what was it? The I, not the iPad, but Apple
The
came out with the first
iPod.
iPod, right?
Yeah.
When the iPod was invented, like that shocked everybody because now music became digital, and literally it killed that part of the industry. And so that industry evolved over time to where we're at now. And by the way, it's still bad for them. And so now we've gone back to these bands make their money on tour and selling swag and selling these other things, because that's really the only thing that they can truly control now is the concerts, which is kind of cool because I love concerts. Um, so it's the same thing with the television industry is um, the broadcast networks, their business model is advertising. It's always been advertising, right?
Yeah.
And so now that you have all these different platforms and ways to consume your entertainment, it's killing them. And radio is another one that's in life support.
Yeah, I noticed that AM radio is getting phased out.
Yeah, it's on life support. Because you don't need that signal anymore, and you can get audio content like podcasts like yours, um, a bunch of different ways now. And so there's too much competition, and the advertising model and the business model doesn't work anymore for them. And so yeah.
So this is just me being me here. I have to tell you, I was so thrilled when music went digital for a number of reasons, right?
Oh yeah.
But the most important one was I used to mow when I mowed. I had a CD player in my hand, right?
Hmm.
And my yard's not necessarily flat as a pancake. You know how many times I would have that skip, right?
Yeah.
Like it was ridiculous. So when I got my first MP3 player, man, that was like a gold sign. So I could just listen and
Dude, dude, listen, I'll outdo you on that one. You're not even old enough to remember this. Do you know what a boombox is?
yes, I do.
Dude, I used to ride a bicycle with a boombox on my shoulder, supporting that with my right arm while I rode a bicycle. You know how dangerous that is? I'm surprised I survived childhood. And now you can just put a pair of headphones on and get a digital feed into your eardrum. I mean, how cool is that? Think of what kind of child abuse that is. I had to ride with a boombox on my shoulder. That's just dangerous.
Yeah, well, think about what you're doing right now. You connected via Bluetooth, right? You don't have a wire anymore.
Right.
That's ridiculous. Okay, so I'm sitting here thinking about all this changes. So, what's the one thing you want to happen in 2024? We're just going to then again visualize things here for you.
Wow. Okay, so I hope. Okay, this is going to take a super super huge right turn. Um, I hope we become better people.
Ooh.
Really.
Yeah.
I just hope we become better people. I hope that we stop fighting each other. There's so much politics and division. People are beautiful, man. And I'm just sick of the negativity in this world. I'm just sick of all of it. There's so many cool people that are doing such great things. And to me, we're talking about technology and we're talking about all these things that actually don't bring people together. They take them farther apart. And I just want people to turn all that crap off. I just want people to turn off the internet. I want them to turn off social media. I want you to pick up a phone. I want you to call somebody and actually talk to somebody instead of texting. I want you to spend time talking to your neighbors. Um, I just, what I want for 2024 is just people to be better to one another and just focus on human interaction and being better people ourselves and to each other. And that's going to make a better world. I mean, technology and all these other things that can make our world great. But if we're bad people, it doesn't matter. So to me, maybe it's because I'm just getting older, you know, I would
Yeah.
I just want more interaction with people and stop being so divisive and so much violence and craziness and, stress and homelessness. And I just want a better world for you and I, so your kids and my kids and everybody can have a more meaningful life, whatever it is we do. And I guess that's the big John Lennon speech in me. But yeah, I just want better for us. That's what I hope changes.
Yeah, I agree.
Better people.
I'm thinking, just more purpleness, right? Because there are so many things either side can agree on or agree to roughly. Let's focus on them and get that stuff done, and we'll worry about the fringes on both sides at some point. But right now, we just need to get back on the highway, back in our lanes, and right?
The thing is, Jim, we're not that different, man. We're just not that different. I mean, you and I got to know each other over 10 years ago, and we're not that different. We become friends. And you meet people, you talk to people. We're not that different, really. And
being one of those Californians that I doubted all my life.
Right? Yeah, we have more in common than not. So yeah, that's what I hope for. We're just better to each other.
That's cool. So give the website one more time and plug the podcast for the fighter pilot again before we go here.
Sure. So my website is ShowgunMediaUSA.com, and it's spelled SHOWGUN media at USA.com. Sorry. And then
there's an email address right there too, folks. No.
Basically. And then the Fighter Pilot Podcast. Yeah. So just the Fighter Pilot Podcast. So look it up on YouTube and you'll find it.
I don't know if you've been on since we started this little new age tradition from Geo, who started. I don't know when this started. Maybe he remembers, but he popped up there one night to ask the guest this as the final question. I've been doing it damn near every week since. What's your favorite breakfast?
Oh, wow. Man. Okay. Favorite breakfast.
Avocado toast. We know it. Come on, sunny California, pull through.
Dude, that is such a California answer. I know you want me to say that, but I'm not going to say it. No, bacon and eggs, man.
Okay,
bacon and eggs and some either hash browns or country potatoes. I mean, that's.
So, Kevin, how are we cooking your eggs? Scrambled, over easy?
Over medium.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I was like, what does this idiot mean?
Like, I want it runny.
Right, I know. It took me a minute because, I don't hear that one every day. Well, Kevin, I appreciate you, and I appreciate you giving me the time. It really has been over 10 years, hasn't it? Good God.
Yeah, it has been over 10 years. And no, I really do appreciate you having me back on and thinking about me. It's good to talk to you, and to all your listeners out there. Thanks for listening to me blabber for an hour.
Two old friends catch up because this seems to be the only time we talk. No, we trade messages at least. So I keep my tabs kind of on him. He's a busy guy.
Sir.
It's hard to keep up
sir.
with him. All right.
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate you.
Yep. Talk to you soon.
Okay. Bye.
It's the Maverick Report. Yeah, the Maverick Report.
Hey, I want to thank you for joining us. It's been a good show tonight. I hope you enjoyed it. Take a few moments, subscribe, share, all the fun stuff. You know how to do it. I don't have to tell you. Just be ready for next week. It'll be sooner than you think.